Excellencies, honorable speakers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome today to the virtual forum of Polish and Lithuanian business communities on the occasion of the visit of the President of Poland, His Excellency Andrzej Duda to Lithuania. Let me briefly introduce myself. I'm Daina Kleponė, Managing Director of Enterprise Lithuania, the agency that helps businesses to grow. I'm very delighted to be a moderator of Lithuanian-Polish Business Forum today. On behalf of the organizers, we wish to extend our warm welcome and thank you to all participants of the Polish and Lithuanian Business Forum. Today we have about 160 innovative entrepreneurs from Poland and Lithuania, representatives of energy, defense, engineering, ICT, other sectors, as well as startups joining this forum online. Ladies and gentlemen, to begin with, I would like to invite President of the Republic of Lithuania, His Excellency Mr. Gitanas Nausėda, and President of the Republic of Poland, His Excellency Mr. Andrzej Duda, to deliver welcome speeches. Your Excellency, President Gitanas Nausėda, the floor is yours.
Your Excellency, President of Republic of Poland, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure to welcome you at the Polish-Lithuanian Business Forum. Even the global public health crisis could not stop us from meeting and bringing our countries, as well as our business communities, closer together. The fact that the forum is taking place virtually is both a sign of the times and a testimony that any obstacle can be overcome if you really mean business. Together with the President of Poland, we take the management of COVID-19 seriously. We are eager to find solutions that would improve public health as well as economic situation in our countries, and intend to help each other. There have been already many lockdowns worldwide, followed by economic contraction and social challenges. The European Union and individual member states have implemented unusual measures to fight the economic downturn. I'm happy to point out that a significant part of this effort is aimed at transforming our economies. There is a saying that one should not let a crisis go to waste. And I believe we won't do it because we see new opportunities opening before our eyes. A truly historic agreement was reached back in July by the European Union heads of state and government, which will provide 150 billion euros of investment for our long-term growth. I see this as an unmatched opportunity to create the new generation European Union, one that will be greener, more innovative, and hopefully stronger. We need a market that is more closely integrated, a workforce with better skills, as well as industries able to compete globally. All this should be supported by the green transition, the most ambitious goal of the European Union in a long time. Both policymakers and business communities must join forces in order to reach this goal. It is clear now that energy and mobility will be the most challenging areas to transform. But this will also enable our economies to generate even higher value added. Full climate neutrality and artificial intelligence solutions, backed by the next generation of telecommunication infrastructure, will enhance the efficiency of logistics, automation, related industries, and others. Of course, cybersecurity should be properly ensured too. Defense technologies and engineering will also be a priority, for together with Poland we share the same understanding of conventional and hybrid threats and geopolitical challenges. We have enhanced research and development funding for defense. We are also responsible NATO members. Therefore, I have repeatedly expressed a firm commitment that Lithuania will continue spending more than 2% of the GDP on defense. The information and communication technology sector is currently one of the biggest winners of the global lockdown. Remote work, e-commerce, and cybersecurity solutions are on a high demand. The world will not be the same after the crisis, and we must actively participate in this fundamental change. Lithuania is already making big inroads in the startup field, not only in financial technologies, but also in the smart mobility and sustainability. Startups have a crucial role in a changing economy. They are the fastest, not only to respond to changing consumer needs, but also to serve as catalysts for quick transformation. Free, diverse, open, and inquisitive societies are the biggest asset to those who actively seek innovation. Of course, it has to be complemented by adequate and timely funding. Thus, we need not only angel investors and venture capital providers, but also precise public schemes. Cooperation between Polish and Lithuanian startup ecosystems can make us all better and stronger. The same should be said about the development of various other business links between our countries. We already have significant links. Poland is Lithuania's second largest trade partner. We should further enhance this path of mutually respectful business cooperation. I would like to conclude by saying that the economic transformation, being a great opportunity for business, should also go hand in hand with social transformation. Once we reap the benefits of unprecedented European Union investment, we need to make sure that they are shared with the society at large. Only then will success be sustainable. Only then we will have a mature welfare state I wish Lithuania to become. I hope that this business forum will exceed our expectations and bring up many fresh ideas. Yesterday, together with the President of Poland, I signed a joint declaration on the establishment of the Council of Presidents that will cover the wide range of areas, including our further cooperation in trade, research, development, and innovation. I believe this is a good sign for things to come, and I wish all of you a very productive event and lasting partnerships. Thank you.
Your Excellency President Nausėda, Your Excellencies Ambassadors, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm truly honored to address you today at this business forum. Let me take this opportunity to express my thankfulness for your contribution to strengthening ties between Poland and Lithuania. Our neighborly relations are centuries long. They comprise of so many dimensions, yet one of them is of paramount importance. It's the economic cooperation. We share glorious moments in history of our statehoods, but we also remember painful times of subjection. It was in the 20th century when our peoples experienced unprecedented trauma. The post-war reality deprived Poles and Lithuanians of the possibility to develop their economies on a free market basis. Eventually, the collapse of the communist bloc enabled our nations to seek the long-desired sovereignty and unhampered development. Poland's and Lithuanians' accession to the common market opened the new prospects of our economies. As entrepreneurs, you take full advantage of this exclusive EU membership, contributing directly to our nation's welfare. Ladies and gentlemen, you have proved that despite operating in objectively more difficult business environment, you are bold, ambitious, competitive, and innovative. Speaking of difficult business environment, I mean hindered access to critical infrastructure as compared to Western European markets. There is no doubt entrepreneurs from our region suffer from lower quality of transportation routes, digital infrastructure, and powered grids. Over the past 5 years, we have strongly promoted the 3 Cs initiative, traces of which one may find in the greatest moments of our two brotherly nations' history, the times of Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. I do believe the 3 Cs initiative as a project of purely economic character, complementary to the process of European integration, may be the answer to our entrepreneurs' problems. I do appreciate the position of Lithuanian authorities towards this initiative. We have succeeded in building up a wide coalition of like-minded countries around the 3 Cs initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, the 3 Cs initiative is based on the idea of acting in solidarity. Today, when we face this unparalleled crisis resulting from the pandemic, solidarity among nations is of uppermost importance. It must become a bedrock of European unity. The prospects of small and medium enterprises are far from being optimistic. Certain studies show that in the months to come, a significant number of European companies consider failing for bankruptcy if the overall economic situation does not improve. Tools developed within the 3 Cs initiative may bring meaningful help to the business in these difficult times. Among them, there are the 3 Cs Investment Fund, Business Forum, and CEE Plus Index. New platforms of cooperation are being developed too. Recently, Estonia came up with a proposal to organize a digital forum in autumn 2021. I'm convinced soon we shall witness emerging of more and more similar initiatives aiming and bolstering our region's economic position. Being confident that the 3 Cs initiative may be instrumental in restoring our economy's fast-track growth, I call upon you to join hands with the governments in order to challenge the current setbacks. Please accept my very best wishes of fruitful debate in the spirit of neighborly solidarity and many successful business projects. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you to President of Lithuania, His Excellency Mr. Gitanas Nausėda, and President of Poland, His Excellency Mr. Andrzej Duda, for setting meaningful guidelines for further discussions today. In a world as interconnected as it is today, the close cooperation between countries is undoubtedly essential for the advancement of their economies. Luckily, Lithuania and Poland have already established good trade traditions. The trade between two countries grew for over 40% from 2014 to 2019. So the question regarding their cooperation is, where do the similarities between Poland and Lithuania start, and what co-created solutions can be designed in the future? To address these questions, I would like to invite Mr. Vidmantas Janulevičius, the President of Lithuanian Confederation of Industrialists, to give a keynote speech about Lithuania's economy and opportunities to cooperate. Mr. Janulevičius, please.
Hello, dear colleagues. Nice to be there. Thank you very much for possibility to stay there. And I would like to share my screen to show some short presentation. I call this presentation, it's our man on the moon moment yet to come in cooperation with Poland. Yes, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure and honor to welcome you all to this Lithuanian-Polish Business Forum. The meeting of the presidents of Lithuania and Poland provided an opportunity for the business community to meet and discuss issues of cooperation. I'm very pleased that our partner, Lewiatan, are participating in the discussion of topical issues today. The Lithuanian Confederation of Industrialists has a long-standing relationship with our counterpart in Poland, Lewiatan. Over the years, we have had exchange with delegations and participated in various joint projects. By the way, together with the Lewiatan, we're in one family of the European Confederation, Business Europe, and nicely cooperate on European issues. I would like to share some figures regarding our cooperation, which is growing every year. And I hope sooner or later, as an export market, Poland is the third now, but I hope sooner or later we'll come figure higher. At that moment, you can see on the slide, Poland stands a third biggest export market for Lithuanian exporters, which counts for around 8% or 2.4 billion euros of all Lithuanian export. By the way, 2/3 of this amount consists of Lithuanians export, and the remaining 1/3 is re-export. Lithuanian and Polish businesses already cooperate. Sorry. Okay. Already cooperate. Lithuanian and Polish businesses already cooperate closely in transport, energy, and food industries. According to the data of 2019, the largest exports from Lithuania to Poland by industry was the mineral fuels, around 30% of exports from Lithuania to Poland. Food industry, 25%. Plastic industry, 16%. Moreover, the growth since 2010 was the highest in developing defense industry, which is very important for us, more than 70%. Leisure and jewelry industries, 40%. Chemical industry, around 40%. It's really significant progress. Regarding the imports to Lithuania from Poland, Poland stays as a second biggest import on the Lithuania market in 2019, near 4 billion euros or near 12% of all Lithuanian goods imports was from Poland. The largest imports from Poland by industry in 2019 were machinery, appliances and vehicle industry, around 30%, food industry, 18%, chemical industry, more than 11%, and metal industry, 10%. However, the growth, again, since 2010, was the highest in leisure industry, around 40%, furniture industry, 35%, machinery industry, more than 30%, and metal industry, again, around 30%. Key sectors for our cooperation is still existing and the future ones. ICT, total export value was near $500 million. Average annual value growth was around 12%. Export intensity, 24%. At the defense industry, around 40 companies with solutions and services for defense sector create a strong scientific base. Active research and development institutes and universities, high-tech engineering. Total export of the defense industry, it's around 800 million euros. It's really very nice figures. Average annual production value growth was around 20%, and export intensity was 85%. Regarding Lithuania, it's really a reliable partner. It's a good combination of entrepreneurship and innovation performance. Lithuania scores highest in terms of macroeconomic stability in the world, according to the World Competitiveness Report 2 times in a row, in 2018 and in 2019. Of course, managing the post-COVID recession, just 1.8% of economy decreases throughout by 2020. It's the smallest decrease in the whole Europe. Yeah, this was announced by the International Monetary Fund by this year. According to the World Bank 2019 report of the easy doing business in Lithuania is 11th in the world and the highest in the region. Easy to get registering property, we are in the 4th place in the world. Easy to get permits for constructions, 10th place in the world. And enforces contracts, we are the 7th place by the world. Economic freedom is high in Lithuania, around 16 on the 16th place. Lithuania scores high in terms of small government size, low taxes, and good fiscal health. The Heritage Fund, next slide, please. Yes, I would like just to say a few examples in our real cooperation between Lithuanian Confederation of Industrialists and Confederation of Lewiatan. It's a smart energy digital innovation hub was established under Lithuanian Confederation of Industrialists initiative. It is a networking organization without formal structure and coordinated by the Digital Innovation Institutes. Smart Energy Digital Innovation Hub, acting as the renewable energy innovation ecosystem, it brings together major research, business, and public stakeholders for the common development and implementation of digital transformation in the renewable energy, greenhouse gas reduction, eco-design, recycling, environmental protection, secular business model development, and associated sectors that meets European citizens' needs. And in this case, we tried to do this in the Baltic states, together with the Polish colleagues, Polish organization of Lewiatan. Another our initiative, it's Interino projects, which the same rule by the Lithuanian Confederation of Industrialists into international chains of experimental development and innovation. Over 3,000 enterprises under the umbrella of Lithuanian Confederation of Industrialists, covering almost all the main sectors of Lithuanian manufacturing, could become your partners in the research of development with the help of Interino LT. We invite Polish colleagues to be more active on that kind of platforms to create bigger and more closely business between our two countries. And I would like to say thank you for cooperation. We are very happy that Poland, it's become closer and closer, not geographically, but the same in the business area, and our cooperation is growing in the last decade so fast. We hope the next decade will be even faster and we will have the biggest trading partner, not as a just neighbor country. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Janulevičius, for an overview. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Maciej Witucki, the president of Polish Confederation Lewiatan, to deliver a keynote speech and overview the Poland's economy and prospects for cooperation. Mr. Witucki, please. We are waiting for Mr. Witucki. Probably he has some connection problems. Please hold on. Please hold on for a couple of minutes. We are trying to reach Mr. Witucki to find out what have happened. Oh, Mr. Witucki, you are here now. Thank you very much. Please unmute yourself, and we are waiting for your opening remarks, please.
Should we go ahead?
Yes, we can see you and we can hear you. Please, Mr. Witucki.
Okay, I can start. Thank you very much. So, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, very happy and very pleased to be invited to this meeting in the difficult times, in the very digital times. So we see each other remotely, but digital, it's a big discovery of this difficult period of COVID. We have a period where the remote working, where the digital tools suddenly jumped into the reality. Something which we have been expecting for many years suddenly became our day-to-day reality. So Lewiatan, as a Polish Confederation of employers, putting together more than 4,000 companies, putting together more than 1 million jobs in the country, it's very happy that this revolution. So on one hand, we have this terrible disease. On the other side, we have this revolution in our habits. We have the revolution in our ways of doing business, and we discover new opportunities. Obviously, today, first priority is health. It's the life of our citizens. So Polish government, Polish companies, obviously in the last 6 months have this as a priority number one. We did tremendous jobs on the company side. If you see some results we have been publishing from our member companies, we have companies in the furniture retailing with 5,000 employees, with 80 cases of COVID, and with 0 horizontal transmission. It shows to which extent the businesses have been fighting against the pandemic in the last 6 months, and to which extent businesses are today resilient to the situation. So obviously we are not yet at the end of the difficult period, but we are thinking about the future. We have to think about the future in 2 dimensions. One dimension is this recovery plan. So today we will lose at least 4% of GDP in 2020 in Poland, which is much better than the European average, but still, which is a dramatic drop after what we have been having in the previous years. So we have to rebuild. We count a lot on this common recovery plan, which have been proposed by the EU Commission. So we, as Polish companies, we really hope that this risk of Polish and Hungarian veto will not materialize. That a proper resolution will be solved found as soon as possible, because we need European solidarity. We, as a country, and I think it's common to both of us, Lithuania and Poland, we need European funds to rebuild our economies and to develop our economies. Obviously, those economies are very, very close. We have common priority. We have common heritage, and common developments. Today, this link between Poland and Lithuania, it's not at the scale we would be expecting from both sides. And we really believe that this recovery plan, it's an area where we can work closer together. If we speak about cooperation, so obviously we have already this energy sector, the traditional Orlen Możejki situation, but what is interesting for us is go beyond this point. And I think the areas where we should collaborate much closer is the energy, and is the energy in its new dimension, the green revolution. I believe that our countries, being somehow delayed because of the post-communist heritage, today we can jump some periods, we can jump some solutions and go to the to the very, very modern and green economies. I know that Lithuania did enormous progresses on the renewable. In Poland, it's picking up back. So I think there is an option of building common projects. To give an example, Polish government speaks today about the giga factory, so kind of giant factory of photovoltaic. I really believe that such a solution could be built together, because I know that you have a brilliant companies in Lithuania working already on the photovoltaic, developing those technologies. So those are the areas. Then obviously you have the infrastructure, and not only the road infrastructure, because it's a shame for us that Lithuanian citizens still have to use a regular normal road to connect Europe because of the missing part on the Polish side. So yes, all those 3 C's initiatives, we should accelerate them, maybe not waiting to materialize at the level of the entire 1/3 of the Europe, but accelerate the areas which are already very interesting for both countries. We should do the same on the internet side, digital sovereignty. We have common challenges. We have young economies, young startups ready to develop, but those startups, they may be hit by digital taxes. So I really believe that Poland, Lithuania, and more largely the region, we should have more voice from business about what are our expectations. Otherwise, the solutions will be done elsewhere. And I have nothing against the German-French tandem driving Europe, but I really believe that the Polish, Lithuanian, Baltic, Central European countries, we should have more voice. And so the cooperation should not only be at the business level, so building common projects together, but also at, I would say, somehow intellectual and regulatory level, to have a common voice, because our young economies, our young companies, they may have needs and priorities a bit different from the priorities of the old Europe. Anyway, just to conclude, I really believe that the green and the digital are the areas where we have, both our countries, we have the comparable needs. We have advantages of both sides. You have excellent companies, you have excellent startups. We have them in Poland. In Poland, we have a size which allows to deploy the technologies and to build upscale, real, I would say, champions, at least at the European level, because clearly it's about size. In green area, the territories are not yet occupied as they are occupied in the digital by the GAFAs and other big players. In green, we can still build common solutions, and those solutions can be done at the level of Central and Eastern Europe and Polish-Lithuanian. We are neighbors, we are so close. So we own you the road, connecting you with a proper highway to Europe, but also together we can build the digital roads, the digital solutions, the digital security, and the green economy, which can be an example and which can be a very strong element of reconstruction, because today we have to speak about reconstructing our economies after the pandemic, which is not yet over. And we believe at Lewiatan, we believe that this is something which will stay with us at least until first half of next year. So we will have a lot of GDP to rebuild. And this GDP, we can only build it as European countries, as member of the European Union, using the European budget, which should be approved as soon as possible, but also using the synergies between our countries, the natural, I would say, priorities being together because of the history and also geographical distance. With being neighbors is an important element. Being neighbors help to build business, help to visit each other. When I need to meet my friend Gitanas, we can reach each other, even with the bad road, sorry for repeating it, within a few hours. And it's important because businesses, they should meet. And when the pandemic will be over, we should meet physically as soon as possible, because this builds relations and this builds opportunities for business. And Lewiatan is ready to support it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maciej. Thank you very much as well. We fully agree on all your issues. Let's cooperate together.
Thank you, Mr. Wituski, for such an inspirational speech. And I think that, yes, I agree with you. Let's think about future. Let's think about common voice. And the economies of Poland and Lithuania face many challenges today. Fierce global competition and rapid innovation and technological change. And the most recent, of course, the coronavirus outbreak, which changes completely how we work and how we live. Look, we are not meeting, not online now, but I really believe that soon we will meet live. So the main question of the following panel discussion is how to cooperate when the economy is transforming, and how does cooperation help to cope with today's challenges? So I would like to introduce the topic of the first panel discussion, energy and mobility. We do have some perfect examples of cooperation between countries in energy field, which were mentioned already with the previous speakers, the Lit-Pol link connection, which links both countries via electricity for 5 years already, the physical gas connection of Poland and Baltic countries via the GIPL, and the upcoming synchronization, of course, of Baltic states' electricity grid with Western Europe. What are next steps for further cooperation in pursuit of the sustainable energy and mobility solutions? So I would like to give the floor to the moderator of the first panel discussion, Mr. Wojciech Jakubik, an energy analyst and the editor-in-chief of news portal reporting on Energy Business Alert. Mr. Jakubik, please.
It's great to be here. Thank you for the invitation. I keep my fingers crossed for Poland and Lithuania, at least since my first movie on Battle of Tannenberg, or maybe first history lesson, because history teaches us that our close cooperation brings only good fruits, and that's how it is in energy and mobility sector, which is the main topic of our conversation in this panel discussion. And I'm only an expert on energy issues, but we have multiple panelists which are professionalists and experts in their expertise in energy and mobility sector. So I won't be speaking too long. I will just give floor to them. So I would like to welcome Mr. Piotr Zawistowski, who is the CEO of Polish Power Exchange.
Hello.
And he's with us. Yes, it's great to have you here. Connection. Okay, we'll work on your video, but we can hear you clearly. So I would like to introduce another panelist. It's Andrzej Terskowas from Sun Investment Group.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. There's also Julius Sakauskas from Solitech Sales.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
I can hear you, I can see you. And there's Mr. Tomasz Garulis, a representative for transport policy in Lithuanian National Road Carriers Association, Linava.
Hello all.
Great to have you all here. We don't have too much time, and those topics are really, really big. So we need to focus on some main points, which are most important from the perspective of our cooperation, from the perspective of common interest in economic sector, in energy and mobility sector especially. So Mr. Zawistowski, could you tell us some words about Polish-Lithuanian cooperation in gas and energy market, especially on the example of this Polish Power Exchange cooperation with Lithuanians? We have new developments on the way and further perspectives too. So please give us some words on it.
Thank you for these questions. Of course, we have a very good history with the cooperation with the Lithuania, because we built the Lit-Pol link as an interconnection. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can see you now.
Thanks for the organizers. First of all, we built the electricity interconnection between the Poland and Lithuania, and it's a part of the cooperation between the energy market. The TG is a part of it as an element of the market coupling model, which is used to share the energy, to trade the energy to the European Union countries. And the second element, which isn't history to be honest now, but we thinking about it, that it's done, it's a gas interconnection between Poland and Lithuania, because the terms of the starting of the operation of it is announced. And it's a very important thing. And of course, we have in mind that there is a plan to build another electricity interconnections. It's a good background to discuss, to say something about the cooperation between the Polish Power Exchange between the TG and the Lithuania. Because, as I said, when we, in the terms of the electricity trading, it works in the European Union mechanism, but the next opportunity and the next possibility to increase our cooperation between these two countries is build the common gas market. It's two reasons: because we will have the interconnection, and it is physical opportunity to trade the gas between the countries. Of course, when we say about the Lithuania, it's not only Lithuania, because the organization of the gas market is all the Baltic states, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, and Finland too. And the second thing, very important, is that the gas market is not so strongly regulated like electricity market in Europe, especially in terms of the international trading. As I said, the market coupling model, the European regulation, the model of the market integration in Europe determined how we can trade the electricity and how it works now. But in the gas market, we have the better background from that point of view to define our own rules. It's quite similar to the Lithuanian and the Baltic states example of building the gas market and the common pricing zone for some countries in Baltic states. And it's for our point of view, the big possibility, big opportunity to build something new, something which can bring value for the market participants and the clients in the both countries. And the second thing is that we have, because we started discussion about it with the Amber Grid, the Lithuanian gas TSO, and Get Baltic, the market operator in Lithuania, because we have about 1 year to prepare this market if we want to start to go live it in the same time when the TSOs for the both countries will start offering the capacities on the gas interconnection. And the main.
Okay. So my question is about the future. What are the future steps maybe to be taken this year or next year to make this happen?
The best way, in my opinion, it could be when we build the same trading products for the both sides of the countries with the same standards of the clearing and the market standards. Understand that like exchanges, term market on the exchanges in the Europe related to the capacities offered by the TSOs, rated at the same terms of the time, the same period of the time, how the capacities will be offered by the TSOs. And these are the first steps. And it could start at the terms market in the Baltic states, because now the Get Baltic offer only the products for the spot market. It could be a good improvement of the whole the Baltic states markets.
Okay, so thank you very much. It's not only about the transport capacity, which is under the supervision of our operators, but also about power generation. Power generation, green generation, is one of the sources of our green recovery in Europe, in Poland, Lithuania, from the wider perspective in whole European Union. And we have a great panelist from renewable companies in place. So I'd like to ask Mr. Andrzej about the perspectives of cooperation in renewable sector between Poland and Lithuania. What do we have now? What can we achieve in future? The floor is yours, sir.
Yes, thank you very much. I've prepared a little presentation about this topic. Do you see it? Can I go through it?
Yes, we can see it.
So I hope it will show an example, a quite good one actually, how Lithuanian and Polish business could work, what additional value could be added, and as a pleasant side, how green economy could be built. So just very quickly. So currently Sun Investment Group is a Lithuanian company, and currently is one of the key players of Poland's PV sector. We entered in 2017. So far, we have managed to connect 109 megawatts of green electricity to Polish grids. And we believe that we will quadruple this number by 2022. And so far, we have managed to create in Poland over 60 full-time working places, and we expect to double the number by the end of next year. Now, regarding some insights on Polish PV market, how does it look like? We can see the number is basically very aggressively growing, started to grow since 2018, once pretty much the auction system was launched, CFD. And this number is actually is not stopping. We are very grateful for Polish government and also European Union funds. Currently, Poland seems to be the hottest market, one of the hottest markets in Europe. It takes 5th place in terms of EU by added PV capacity. Already, Poland has reached almost 2.7 gigawatts of installed solar capacity at the end of September. And also, we are quite happy that the number of renewable electricity generation has increased, whereas the coal generation has decreased also quite dramatically, fell by 5% to 74%. And yeah, basically this sums up the current situation. Now, some necessary action steps which are required to take if Poland wants to get even more investments, create more working places generated by the green economy, and also inject more clean energy to the grid. So we see key and major problems, which is grid availability. We see already many of our projects being rejected to connect to the grid. The situation will be more complicated if investments are being postponed of grid modernization. Also, COVID-19 has showed that there is a high demand for e-services. Because there was a major slowdown in terms of the development of our projects in municipalities and dealing with local authorities. And obviously, since the solar as an industry is pretty new in Poland, basically it's a must to have a prolongation of RES auction system and diversification between wind and solar PV baskets. As we, as a company, have been working in the past in UK market, and we witnessed ourselves when the support mechanism were shut off too early, too prematurely. Basically, I can't say all of it, but most of industry was wiped out. And many workplaces were lost, which were created in UK throughout a decade. And to wrap it up, basically, maybe one more interesting an idea, which Lithuania is considered to be first globally, which has launched an online platform for buying solar energy. Basically, people living in one part of a country can use solar energy generated in other parts of the country, where the solar produces more electricity, and thus by buying a fraction of a bigger power plant, you can utilize the benefits of costs. So I think this model is pretty interesting. Lithuania has already much to share in the development phase of it. And I'm sure that this can be implemented also in Poland. And since Poland has very ambitious targets and very high demand for green energy in the upcoming years, so worthwhile to investigate.
Thank you very much, because it's all about the interconnections, about the market coupling, especially in our part of Europe, with this 3Cs initiative also, which was mentioned by our president. So again, fingers crossed. But let me ask another panelist for more info on renewables, because it's also about the production cooperation, because Polish-Lithuanian companies can produce really good renewables, especially solar panels, for example. And one of the companies working on that is Solitec Cells. So I'm asking Mr. Julius Sakauskas for some words on possible cooperation in this sphere.
Hello once again. I'm Julius, representing company Solitec. We are vertically integrated solar industry company working from R&D and solar modules and solutions manufacturing to designing and installing power plants on the field. I'm here today to speak for solar manufacturers cooperation in between Poland and Lithuania. So far, we have connections to a few manufacturers from Poland, which are mainly working in niche segments and producing niche type of solar panels. And to be open, there is not too much commercial cooperation happening now. But I see a chance for us to cooperate on the other field. Since the European Green Deal is imposed and the expansion of renewable energy is inevitable, it is important that Lithuanian and Polish industrial companies speak out loudly in EU Parliament and defend their position on the market. This is, of course, was really necessary to do 2 years ago when import duties for solar panel in EU from China were cancelled. And soon after, a few months later, the biggest European factory of solar panels, Jabil from Poland, closed, and over 500 people lost their jobs. Then, to my mind, European producers did not make everything they could to protect their industry, and now we have what we have. Not too much manufacturers left in Europe. Nevertheless, as the market now is growing very fast, and we can see the good results in Lithuania and Poland renewable energy expansion, we need to come back and speak out loudly again. We can see recent political changes all over the world, where, for example, Chinese modules were banned from such markets like USA, India, Australia, and some countries even in Europe are imposing CO2 barriers for imported modules. And this gives results. Factories again reopening in USA, again R&D starting, and it's employing significant number of people. It is important that barriers do not protect from good panels imports. It should protect from unsustainably produced panels, which are produced in not sustainable way. It's good to see that Polish producers already united and started to put forward this issue. In September this year, they have signed letter of intent and agreed together with Polish government, which supported them to give some recommendations for the EU, how to protect Europe's industrialists. So it's very good because earlier we did not have too much actions from Polish manufacturers, so now they are coming into the field, and this is very good. And we, while joining our forces, we can achieve something in European Parliament corridors to make this happen. So I invite them to cooperate on this field.
As I do, because yes, we can and we have solar panels on our soil, Polish-Lithuanian soil. Thank you very much. And we need to switch the topic just a bit because it's also about the interconnectivity, but in transport sector, our distinguished guest from Linava will tell us more about the transport cooperation between Poland and Lithuania. I know it is a wide topic, but please be brief, sir. Thomas Garolis, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone, and thank you very much for giving me floor. I was listening carefully the speeches and presentations, and I got a feeling that we are almost on the same boat. So from transport perspective, I will just add something to what already has been said today. So Poland and Lithuania have long-standing political partnership and history of common interest, in fact. And some lessons we can and must learn from recent events already. Lately, the mobility package came into force, and which will not bring any good to transport businesses for both countries, because we are peripheral countries. Even in this area, transport policy, we could be of a common interest of development of regional transport policy towards third countries. This is important not only for protection of transport operators, but for the need to protect market from imports of services that do not meet social and environmental standards. Non-green transportation, I would say. And also about, and it was already mentioned by my colleague Julius Sakalauskas, that about 80% of legislation affecting businesses is adopted by institutions of European Union. So it's necessary to strengthen the capacity of economic diplomacy and to coordinate the regional cooperation in this area. This is what is done on some scale with Poland today, but this is a good basis to go on with that. But the bigger challenges are already present today. It's digitalization of the sector and decarbonization of our economies. Road transport is awaiting a fundamental transformation that will begin to shape the trucking industry in less than 2 years, in fact. This is an energy transition which is not only of legal skin deep and will mean a shift from powertrain from internal combustion to hydrogen technology in heavy transport. And time really, it was said already today, time really is running very fast, and our European colleagues, European countries are in a hurry as well. So time is running, and we must run as fast as we can just to stay in place today. And if you wish to go anywhere, you must run twice as fast as that. This is a citation from one famous writer, actually. And what happens today while talking about hydrogen in heavy transport? Germany announced a hydrogen strategy in July 2020. In October, they call it Gesamtkonzept klimafreundliche Notfahrzeuge, is a concept for environmental friendly heavy trucking.
Yeah, okay.
Finland already has
your answer because we're late on time.
Finland already has national hydrogen roadmap to Finland, and Switzerland already have 50 hydrogen trucks on road and will triple it next year. Poland is preparing to adopt a hydrogen strategy next year, and Lithuania is developing platform for hydrogen communication. Obviously, we're lagging a little, and I must admit too that from Spain to Estonia, there are only 2 countries that do not have any hydrogen filling station for automotive purpose, and these countries are Lithuania and Poland today. It's necessary to trigger the hydrogen economy as soon as possible, as this undeniably becoming a strategic resource in industry. It's important that we don't become energy satellites for the industrial giants as well. It's needed to have not just plans to endorse hydrogen supply and demand, but to accelerate progress in supplementary areas like hydrogen technology and innovations. Certainly, here is a room for synergy between Lithuanian and Polish companies. For Lithuania, it's very important to preserve its transport sector. It will be not possible to stay in the market in transport area without decarbonization of and energy transition. Poland already has technological and industrial capabilities and the most important experience in developing hydrogen facilities and gas distribution infrastructure, as Polish companies already developing refueling infrastructure in Czech Republic and Germany already by today. This is an excellent opportunity for Lithuania and Poland to work together to ensure a balance of hydrogen supply and demand. Hydrogen transition should act as catalyst that creates opportunities into other areas like manufacturing, innovations, and research and development.
It's really important, and we could speak a really long time for all the spheres of cooperation between our countries, but the time is running really fast. So we need to work on this cooperation. We need to get back to work after we finish this panel discussion. I would love to ask you a lot more questions, like on hydrogen, which could be sold on one of the exchanges, like TGE, for example. But we don't have so much time. We need to leave floor for other panelists. So thank you very much for this conversation on energy and mobility. See you on other panelists.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Jakubik. Thank you all the panelists for sharing your viewpoints. And I suggest that you can connect later on and to have more extended discussions. So it's very nice that during the forum we have so many different opinions and areas for cooperation. And now time for the second panel. During the second panel of discussions, we will focus on defense technologies and engineering. Both Lithuania and Poland are members of NATO, which provide perfect base for joint efforts. And further cooperation could be reached by encouraging companies from Lithuania and Poland to develop shared solutions. I would like to introduce the moderator of the second panel discussion, Mr. Robertas Juotka, Managing Partner of Primus Derling Law Firm. Mr. Juotka, please.
Hello, dear ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying to start my video now. Yes, here we go. Here we go. So, more technical issues. So, hello everyone. It's my honor to be the moderator of this distinguished panel. Here today on the occasion of the visit of the President of Poland to the Republic of Lithuania. And today we're going to talk about defense and technologies. Well, a few words about myself. I'm the chairman of the board of the Polish Chamber of Commerce in Lithuania and its founder. I also managing partner of the business law firm Primus Derling. And apart from that, for over 10 years, I am volunteer military. The so-called combat rifleman in the Lithuanian Rifleman Association. So defense technologies and defense issues are really close to my heart. But now let's turn to our panelists, and I would like to introduce all of them. Let's start with Mr. Major General Gintautas Zinkevičius, retired. Gintautas Zinkevičius retired as Chief of Defense Staff of Lithuanian Armed Forces. He has over 3 decades of experience in the area. General, the floor is yours. Now, our next panelist is Mr. Remigiusz Wilk from Polish defense group, VB Group. It's one of the largest, if not the largest, technology concern of Poland, offering various defense technologies. One of the products of this concern is quite well-known product of loitering munition or kamikaze drone, Warmate. In addition to that, VB Group produces a lot of other communication, command and battlefield management systems, etc., and employs over 1,200 people. Next panelist is Mr. Jonas Klimantavičius. Jonas Klimantavičius is president of National Defense Industries Association, and he has his vast experience in laser technologies. So he's representing the National Defense Industries Association of Lithuania. Then we have Mr. Łukasz Komorek, representing PGZ, or Polska Grupa Zbrojeniowa, which is a holding of Polish defense companies, major, huge holding of Polish defense companies. And last but not least, a representative of MESCO, Mr. Michał Owczarczak, sales director of MESCO. And MESCO is a producer of various munitions, rocket-propelled, anti-armor, anti-aircraft munitions. And MESCO Group also produces the so-called GROM system, or anti-aircraft system, which also has been acquired by the Lithuanian Armed Forces. So it's my great pleasure and honor to represent all these speakers and panelists here today. And I would like to start our panel discussion with the first question. I see that Mr. Zenkevičius has some video problem here, but I would ask the organizers maybe to help him somehow with that. But I hope that you are able to talk to us, at least via audio. So, well, let us start. For essentially 600 years, Lithuanian and Polish warriors, soldiers have been fighting side by side against common enemies. It's probably the oldest and most integrated cooperation in human history of such two nations. Now we are standing side by side again in the framework of NATO, which also gives us huge opportunities for cooperation and further development. And talking about our defense and armaments industry, it's obvious that Poland has a very long-standing history of defense and armament industry. Lithuania is also making its active steps internationally in that area. And I would like to ask all the presidents of defense associations and also Mr. Łukasz Komorek from Polska Grupa Zbrojeniowa to comment on where could be the cooperation possibilities, what could be the areas of cooperation between national defense contractors, Polish and Lithuanian defense contractors. What could be the most potential sectors in this area? For example, could it be air defense? Could it be the main battle tank project currently performed in Poland, artillery, other projects? So what could be the cooperation sectors and how to help cooperation between our two countries? So I would direct this question to Mr. Klimantavičius, Mr. Zenkevičius, and Mr. Łukasz Komorek.
Hello, dzień dobry. I think that there are quite a lot of opportunities to cooperate, and knowing that there are companies in Lithuania like Autokurtas and others that are working on transportation technologies. They can provide different contractual works and services, as well as maintenance. So there is area where playing on technical side cooperation opportunities are. At the same time, Lithuanian companies are quite widely involved in telecommunications and advanced IT solutions, which can also be used in military equipment for communication and special activities. So I guess that potential is simply untapped. And we, Lithuania and Poland, being neighbors and having long historical relations, can really start that work together.
Very good. Maybe Łukasz Komorek from Poland could comment on that as well.
Thank you, Robert. First of all, I would like to thank you for the invitation. It's a real pleasure for me to be with you today and to have a chance to take part in this very important forum. But coming back to your question, I think that taking into account the cooperation in the defense sector to date and the modernization plans of both Polish and Lithuanian ministries of defense, I think that the projects related to the widely seen radar systems and the anti-aircraft defense systems offer the greatest opportunities for cooperation. And I mean mainly the very short-range anti-aircraft defense systems. Moreover, I think that depending on the final shape of the future needs of the Lithuanian armed forces, The opportunities for cooperation can also be seen in the field of land mining systems, sea mine warfare, and especially in the area of the electronic warfare systems and the UAVs, which are, as we all know, extremely important on the modern battlefield. But I am saying that also, of course, from the perspective of my own company, the Polish Armaments Group. So I am sure that the other panelists will add on something new to my opinion, will extend my thought on the other projects, on the other products, which are also very interesting and can be a potential area of cooperation between our countries. I think that the other thing that is worth underlining is the current European Union funding system, which allows countries to form an international cooperation in order to secure funds for developing joint projects in the defense area. And I am sure that there is a room for the discussion as well on how, for example, participate in the PESCO program together, which could bring benefits to both sides.
Great. General Zenkevičius, maybe you would like to add something on this potential of cooperation?
Good afternoon to everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, thank you for all organizers for setting up all conditions for this conference. It's really very important. And Lithuania and Poland is really neighbors, and we share the same part of the Eastern European territory, and we share the same threats. As I remember, that's what I remember from my previous service. Now, just answering directly to your question about cooperation, possible defense and security enterprises cooperation with Poland. So first of all, cooperation agreement with Polish Chamber of National Defense Manufacturers and Lithuanian Defense and Security Association was signed in 2015, but really we think that cooperation could be much deeper, much intense, and could be widened. There are a lot of possibilities we had from our Polish member. So, but first of all, there are possibilities where Lithuanian enterprises, security and defense enterprises could build or create clusters with Polish companies and service Polish-produced equipment used by Lithuanian armed forces and services. The same can be done for servicing Lithuanian-produced equipment used by Polish armed forces and services. And this is one area is, of course, short-range air defense, which is really very close and Lithuanian armed forces are using. Secondly, Lithuanian enterprises are really specializing in producing armor and weapons, some weapons productions where Polish enterprises could work together. The same talking about electronics, IT, cyber defense issues, where two countries really could cooperate much closer. So that's very short answer to your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear panelists. Let's turn over to our next potential question that would be more specific, more maybe military oriented. Well, obviously we have all observed the newest war in Nagorno-Karabakh between Armenia and Azerbaijan. And in this war, probably the biggest star was the so-called kamikaze drone or unmanned aerial vehicle, especially the loitering munitions produced by various Israeli producers like Israeli Harobs, Sky Strikers, Orbiters. Also, the biggest star is the Turkish attack drone, Bayraktar TB2. All these systems essentially won the day against Russian-based anti-aircraft systems, armored systems, artillery systems, essentially making them obsolete, in fact. And VB Group is producing the Polish version of loitering munitions called Warmate, as well as other drone systems, whereas Mesko produces portable man-pads, Grom, which have also been acquired by the Lithuanian army, and obviously Grom is a short-range air defense system. What conclusions have you, as producers of such systems, drawn from this newest war, and what could be the lessons learned for Polish military and for Lithuanian defense and defense industry? Mr. Vilk and Mr. Ovcharczak, the floor is yours.
First of all, I would thank you for the invitation for the forum. And second, you mentioned the Polish-Lithuanian cooperation for many hundred years. I fully agree with this is very important. And I have to admit that the cooperation is still going on because every Lithuanian soldier who is operating the ground manpads using the trainer system from WB Group. We, as well, lots of Lithuanian equipment sold from and delivered from United States is still using the WB Group internal communication systems and other systems. So we're cooperating already. But you mentioned the drone wars, and yes, WB Group has extensive experience in this area. We're manufacturing multi-role reconnaissance and strike systems, aerial systems. And of course, we are fully open for cooperation with any Lithuanian companies. We are most of all research and development company. So we share our product with the local manufacturing, so the local industry, to combine them with even the best product you can offer. For instance, we can provide this or developed together, we call it swarm system, this combination with our reconnaissance and strike capabilities. You can put it on any vehicle, tracked or wheeled on even the naval platform. And multi-role function is very important because the part of the system is retranslation of the signals, radio communications, which is very important in the countries we have satellite communication, or if the satellite communication will be in some kinds broken or disabled in the time of, let's say, crisis of war. And such drones helps you to communicate in this way that no enemy can overhear you. And this is full encrypted communication. So if you buy such or develop some package with us or together, you have completely changed a role of your small units. Because in the full war, the latest conflicts teach us, will be lots of problems with communication, lots of problems with the signals from the HQ, and the lower level units should have the possibilities to react in any moment for any threats, and for first of all to locate the threat, identify it, and has the possibility to strike on it. And such combined units, strike reconnaissance units with possibility of very encrypted radio communication will help any small or unit, very important for, let's say, total defense, which is developed in the Lithuania as well in Poland. So we have lots of experience with the Polish territorial defense forces, and the same experience, I believe, those share with Lithuanian units on some level and units from the regular army. So we are fully open for any cooperation, industrial, defense, even in energy sector, if in the future we'll be using, the new systems, military systems powered by the energy pacts and so on, because the WB Group is already developed such element. So basically, we developed the different aerial system, the smaller one, the bigger one with some armaments, and it's another window of opportunity for our industry or our defense to cooperate. So just come to us and start talk, and there will be, I believe, another very good Polish-Lithuanian Union in defense this time.
Exactly. Mr. Michał Czarczak, what would you add to that? Please turn on your mic. We don't hear you.
I'm just, going on too fast. Do you hear guys, gentlemen? Yes. Okay. So first of all, thank you very much for invitation to this conference. It's also a very good opportunity for MESCO to take part, since we have the ongoing cooperation. In reference to my previous speaker, Mr. Remigiusz, I would like to say that this cooperation, however, started some time ago. It's still a good point to just have the union in terms of the defense product, not only, but taking into consideration the industrial aspects of such cooperation. I would like to underline that as from the MESCO perspective, we are cooperating since 2014. And basically, let's say that the cooperation, the strict cooperation, direct cooperation with user, the Ministry of Defense started at the beginning of 2014, and Major General Zenkevičius is kind of like, took a very special part in, these activities, as well as the team from the Ministry of Defense. However, we have this cooperation since 2014. So far, so good that we are on the schedule of realizing the projects. From our perspective, it's like, signing a contract is like 10% of the value added, and the 90% of the rest is the activities, how we will proceed and how we will finish up the contract. In terms of the GROM anti-aircraft, very short air defense systems, the very good asset of this missile is uncomplicated operation process, minimalized needs in maintenance, and technical ready to fire missile. So basically, in the modern battlefield, we have a lot of assets connected with the opportunities for the operators. And basically, in terms of operating such weapon, because the system itself can be prepared, we don't need a very special applications for the infantry, so we can just fire and forget and change location. So it's also good in terms of the preventive attacks. However, MESCO is not. It's very important to underline that our company is not only offering a system, a missile. We're offering a complete system. This system consists of a package. Training package, we have training missiles, we have field simulators. Also concerning to what Remigiusz has mentioned, we use the classroom simulator for the operators to train exercising, because the more time the operator spends exercising, the more professional is prepared for the unfortunate conditions. Basically, since we started the cooperation, we're trying as a company also exceed the contractual activities and concentrate on a good support for the customer, pay very much of attention to have the equipment upgraded, and support such as was kind of like our cooperation within the providing the flying models for the operators for Air Defense Battalion in Lithuania. So basically the idea of the cooperation is to not only just carry on the contract, but just go a bit exceeds the contractual obligations and focus on this strict cooperation. We have this cooperation. I'm proud to say that from our perspective that this cooperation is very good, and so far we didn't have any more of the complications. In terms of the other projects, we also cooperate with the Lithuanian Army Depot in terms of the demo services. And basically one contract follows on the other, and we still try to fulfill as much as many possibilities we can carry on working with the Lithuanian user. Aside of the defense cooperation, we also see a good asset in terms of the industrial cooperation. Well, we have a good relations with Lithuanian small arms manufacturer GGG, and we also cooperate. We know the stuff, we exchange often some of the correspondence, but also GGG is also a good example of a company which is fighting for the civil market in Poland, right? So in this matter, this cooperation is ongoing. However, the idea is, for example, just to think over how can we proceed to enforce and extend this cooperation. And basically, there was a presentation shown at the beginning, and in terms of the imports on the defense and the exports, I think this aspect will need a little bit of a correction, because we're kind of like in terms of the defense product, the chart shown that we were at the level of 0, but basically we should grow it up, because we have a kind of quite values and quantities over there. So if this is just kind of like a little remark to just look it over. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see General Zenkevičius wants to have a remark on the topic.
Mute. Yeah. So I just wanted to thank, Polish counterparts that they mentioned some activities, but Where I see where we could do more cooperation, or Lithuanian Polish enterprises could do more cooperation, that's in area of services, providing services, and especially talking about, as I said, where we are in geographically and Suwałki corridor. So cooperation between Polish and Lithuanian enterprises in providing logistics support and transportation services might be the same really used, and a lot of military forces are needing that. And of course, secondly, we could more cooperate together and work, combining our forces and representing our interest, our industry's interest in EU, European Defense Agency, and NATO. Thank you.
Well, obviously we have less than 5 minutes left of our panel. Well, I see that there has been a question from Mr. Klimantavičius, and actually this question is very well connected to the topic I wanted to cover a bit. That is in connection to research and development and cooperation in research and development. And obviously, one of the possible potential areas of cooperation would be the cooperation in R&D in creation of anti-drone systems, anti-drone defense systems. So what could be the joint areas, the joint work in this field?
Yeah, in this field, our Lithuanian companies have been already very active, and when warfare activities have started in Ukraine, companies participated in developing products for defense of Ukraine territories. And that cooperation resulted in successful development of products for jamming drones, and up to the introduction of these systems in defense of Ukraine. So I see that apart from development of drones, there is another side of possibility where how to manage drone and put down drones of adversaries. Also, what has been briefly mentioned about research and development, we have opportunities to use European funds, cooperate in European Defense Agency initiated projects and NATO projects. Lithuanian companies are very active in that, and but we also have an opportunity to work more with Polish companies. And after talking to my counterparts, I haven't seen very active development in that area. So definitely we can be more cooperative. And as Poland has at least 2 military institutes, you are doing quite a lot of research there. I personally have been in contact with some of researchers there, and I can see vast opportunities for cooperation between research and development institutes, between research and development institutes and companies, and on the research area between companies as well.
Thank you very much. Well, we have about 3 minutes left. So we don't have time for a full answer of the last question, but I would shorten it up essentially and would ask you to answer yes or no. Well, into let's say a political or a provocative question, but could Lithuania and Poland finally have a joint military procurement, meaning jointly acquire some systems, defense systems from international producers? Is that a blue dream, or could that be a reality finally? So in such a way we could save costs, be more efficient, and of course have another ground for our cooperation. So let's start with Michal. Yes or no?
Gentlemen, it's Robert. It's not a question of yes or no, because you cannot say as well as yes and no have advantages and disadvantages. Basically, first you have to look at the reality of, for example, the needs of the certain countries. Basically, see where they cover. But basically, I think it is possible the cooperation should be more strict in terms of this, but basically parties, when there's a will to, for example, cooperate in this matter, should, for example, just organize and exchange the needs, and then the need creates the further steps in terms of further activities. So basically, I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no. I'm looking at the kind of like advantage and the potential in this aspect, but we have to take under consideration all of the aspects, positive and negative. Thank you.
Mr. Komorek, your take on this?
Yeah, I think that the answer to this question depends largely on the decision of the ministries of defense of both countries, in fact, and it's obvious for me that from the defense industry perspective, in both Poland and Lithuania, it will be much more beneficial to place orders in the country and implement projects jointly, especially from the cost perspective, than to allocate the defense funds outside of the country. Investing funds in the national economy provides the necessary resources and fuels the further development of the defense industry. So that's obvious for me that we should pursue the opportunity of such cooperation in the future.
Exactly. Mr. Wilk, would you add something to that?
Of course, no. We should develop the system together and then sell it to different countries. This will be the way. But as well, we already do the same during using the NSPA, this NATO Support and Procurement Agency. Is help for both our industry because it's a bank directly for our companies and sell it together to the different countries. Of course, it's a different approach from industrial side and military side. But from our perspective, of industry cooperation, no, of course, no. Develop together and then sell it to the different countries. This is my way.
Very good. So with that positive note, unfortunately, our time is up, and I have to end our panel. We could spend probably another 5 hours discussing these topics, but you know, time is time. So thank you once again for all our panelists, and see you in the private rooms or next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. Juotka and panel participants, gentlemen, for such an interesting and lively discussion. I like your plans. Let's develop together and let's sell it forward to the rest of the world. We really very, very pro this idea. And it looks like there are a lot of areas for our businesses to cooperate in defense area as well. Also, I'm happy to announce that during this forum, we are keeping a steady number of over 160 participants connected online. And now the time is for our third panel. Our third panel is dedicated to information and technology sector, which is vibrant both in Lithuania and Poland. And what are the most prosperous fields of cooperation? I address this question for discussion to the moderator of the panel, Mr. Mindaugas Ubartas, the CEO of Infobalt, the Association of ICT Industry in Lithuania. Mr. Ubartas, the floor is yours. You can start a discussion, please.
Hello, everybody. I'm happy to be a moderator of this discussion, and I think that it's time to introduce the panelists. So it will be Mr. Dmitry Zhatunshi, CEO of Do OK, Mr. Pavel Lopatka, Country Manager Soft Service. We are still waiting for him to connect. Mr. Tomas Vitkus, Lithuanian Country Manager, Tieto Ivory, and Mr. Richardas Bedulskis, CEO of Fitech Eddy. I hope all of them are on connected and we can start. So my first question would be, as from previous panels, we have heard that there is a lot of projects going on, and Lithuania and Poland are being even more and more interconnected physically. I mean, road infrastructure, railway infrastructure, electricity lines infrastructure, gas pipe is under construction. So these are the hard projects, which are physical ones. So what would be your reflection? What should we do to increase the progress of, and what countries should do to increase the progress of soft integration? I mean, IT interconnection, which fields would be most promising? Maybe let's start with Mr. Dmitry.
Oh, thanks for inviting, and I'm happy to share my take on that. Our both countries in this region, so both Poland and Lithuania, let's say are the largest one, and having together a lot of experience in logistics and transportation, where Lithuania is a hub from the east going to west and otherwise other sides, and Poland the same. I'd say that in ICT, we have a lot more experience in building proper logistics and transportation supporting system using modern technologies than any other country in Europe. Therefore, we could start to think, having this infrastructure in place, how we can reduce the efforts not to reinvent the wheel, but actually accommodate this knowledge and exchange this knowledge to support both ecosystems, so enterprises can have better revenue planning and better production, and government can have better financial decisions, things that, and factories we have in both countries can also learn real time from data we interchange with this logistics, with this communication system. So I would say that we need to invest more in common projects where we will share data, analyze insights from this data, and then our governments and businesses can take smart decisions made on that. And of course, ICT is something that absolutely supports that, like with whole big data analysis and modern IoT technologies.
Thanks, Dmitry. Thomas, what would be your thinking into that direction?
Hello, thank you for chance participating in this forum. So thank you for a question. So our last year's experience is showing that we have very good cooperation with Poland and Polish companies. We find that our cultures, at least working culture, fits very well. And at least from our company perspective, we see that, and the word cooperation was used already a lot of times in this forum, that cooperation helps us together to really be more competitive in bigger projects. At least here in Lithuania, we need to admit we are a small country with a limited talent pool. So we do see a lot of potential cooperating with companies in Poland for fighting or for competing for bigger projects. And as well, I see very good potential in cooperation where we could complement each other with a little bit different talent pool, which is necessity in a bigger projects. So it was a very interesting the defense industry discussion before digitalization, but I think the word digitalization was used a lot of times as well. So I think we together we are more competitive because we can propose much bigger software development talent pool for inside our countries, but especially competing for projects outside of our countries, for example, in Nordics.
Okay, thank you, Thomas. Richard, could I ask your view to this question?
Yeah, hello. We already collaborating with Poland. I want to inform that we are together in Baltic Sea region, and from time to time, we as Baltic Sea region do some international projects. But from global point of view, to manage real world, we need some have common understanding of what's happening in digital way. Yeah, and one of ideologies which I prefer is called like digital twins. Does it mean digital twin is a digital mirror of physical entity? And in this way, we doing a lot. We just need agree only on some standards which are global, open, neutral, and secure. And this standard exists, yes, and are developed by communities, by example, Linux Foundation, Europe Union communities, and others. We just need to agree which standard requires which solutions. And from Lithuanian side, Lithuanian community is using this standard to solve real world problem in our opinion, to build digital, not at least in Europe, but maybe wider in all world. We must use self-building blocks, which is developed and supported by European Union. And as example, we are delighted that with this commitment agree all DGNO partners. And we from public and private sectors, and we start development together, all countries, testing asymmetric prototype using DLT, more known as blockchain technology. This prototype was tested in 4 countries: Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, and Poland, of course. And all of them acknowledge that prototype is useful. And what we do next, we are taking steps to legalize asymmetric documents only between Lithuania and Ukraine in bilateral agreements. So we are inviting Poland to join the steps and start using asymmetric between Lithuania and Poland. And moving forward can't only happen by doing, it's my opinion. Thank you.
Okay, I see Mr. Pavel Lopatka joined us as well. So I will repeat the question so that Poland and Lithuania are more and more physically interconnected with the roads, with the railroads, with the electricity lines, with the gas pipe now under construction. What countries should do to get such a progress also in IT interconnection? Pavel, what would be your take, what you're thinking about this question?
So thank you, and sorry, apologies really for joining really late here. So I think from my perspective, we already have a lot of programs that actually target areas very close to our borders, yes. And I think this already help us to develop better relationship between our countries here. But I think we should have maybe common programs based on consortium that we can actually develop all together, yes, that will focus on some kind of joint cooperation and common results that will actually build stronger relationship and maybe good software IT output that would actually strengthen the relationship here.
Mm-hmm. So my next question goes to very, very practical field. The people before were talking about good cooperation, good business, and 2 countries cooperating and everything. And from my own experience during these COVID times, there is one field which we need to clean up. So digital identification. Because being a Polish man in Lithuania, it's an issue to open the business or to sign the contract. Being Lithuanian man in Poland, it's again an issue to make your documents clarified and done. What would be the first step that everybody could feel like a single market as it's a promise in European Union, at least between these 2 countries? Pavel, maybe you can have a word on that. Digital identification, that we would recognize each other as a businessman.
That's a really good question, to be honest. I don't have maybe the right answer to this one. I think it's a quite tricky question as well. But like, I think the biggest plus is that we already in like one like Europe, yes. And I think now, especially when we work remotely, we are already much more closer to each other business, yes? It doesn't matter now where people are actually working. So location doesn't make sense in software at the moment. Like we are actually sourcing and connecting with people from different locations and from different countries. And I'm not sure if having now like a common, maybe kind of legal administration background would actually impact this significantly, yes. I think it's already happening somehow. And now we are living even in bigger virtual village, I would say. And COVID actually create this opportunity to abort the borders of the building and start working internationally from wherever you are, yes. So I don't have the right answer here. Like, I think this is my statement here.
Richardas, what's your take on that?
So
I turned the microphone. Sorry. Yeah. As I mentioned before, look, friends, just read right places in internet. Yes, a lot of initiative in Europe, and one of, I think, most important is self-sovereign identity, where Europe built identification not only via old way, as we know, ID and signature, because from technological point of view, they're very difficult and not very flexible standard. And so now just join European Union forces. And there are under European blockchain single infrastructure, one use case which is called self-sovereign identity. And this, trust me, will be useful via all ecosystem which built in European Union. So answer exists. We just need to do.
Probably answer exists, but still kind of legislation and things around behind in each country are very specific, yes. So definitely there is solution that probably takes still time to implement and make it common for everyone.
But we must do if we want to implement, yeah?
That's right.
Stop talking, start doing. Yeah.
Dimitri, you had some remarks.
Yeah, thanks. Question is a great thing, because let's start from scratch. Digital identity exists only in IT systems. And our countries, all Baltics actually, plus Poland, we did our job quite well on personal ID. Very fast introducing the unique code with the hash to identify people. And what happened in Estonia, let's take this example with Smart ID, scaling it to 2.5 million users, 50% of votes made online, used in public sector, in private sector, and starting connecting it like with Lithuania, Latvia, and Finland, where with just one solution, you can do a lot of things, and being even e-resident as it's easy now for Estonia. So we can use this example. And the other example would be EIDAS, also European standard, that devices are there. There are good case studies. We shouldn't when the will just adopt this solution. Of course, it should be agreed on the government level. Like, okay, tax authorities should accept this. Government authorities should accept this. And what happened this year? Yeah, we made a leap. We made a leap with signing things online, mainly online with signatures, with the ID cards, etc. So this leap is there. So that's just an open field for dialogue between Baltic countries, Poland together. Just let's leaders sit together and discuss these things. Of course, that's a case of okay, what will be the process of getting there? How would pen testing go? What about banks? And again, Baltics is a lot smaller market than Poland, even in terms of banks. Like major banks are usually Nordics. The more south you go, like in Lithuania, we have a little bit more selection than in Estonia, but still it's a rather small case to have worst case scenarios and outliers, etc. to take there. So legally binding document signature and taxes, these two are actually the biggest pain point. And following on what was said, private sector is very open to digitize as fast as possible and to accept the ways how we sign NDAs and contracts with our clients using different world developed solutions or local developed solutions. So like my company having different branches, even in Estonia here, it's like easy. Everything is very easy thanks to that. And why it's easy? Because of trust. So everything starts with trust. And how trust can be built? It starts with education. So you need first to make this ready from the citizen point of view, from a government point of view, entrepreneur point of view, and leading by example. I'm very happy we have this success stories in European Union, and that will be this. it's possible. Even in such a big country as in Poland, it was possible, 2.5 years ago to integrate software development industry into one association in SODA. Like 3 years ago, no one would think that people will start competing and start collaborating. And now we are collaborating, interchanging talents. And this talent pool goes well beyond Poland also. Like I got a lot of inquiries from Lithuanian project managers and other skilled people to help grow also the company, etc. after COVID happened. So it's there, and we are very open for this.
Thomas, what would be your remarks?
I would build on that Dmitry saying. I think with private business ourselves, I think this year we signed 2 contracts, cooperation contracts with Polish companies. They both were done somehow via digital means. So I think private sector has a solution already. And I liked what Pavel saying, it's we're a little bit bigger virtual village. So we need to integrate more countries and look towards the export and other countries. So I think within private sector, we have solutions, and I think we're ready to move forward. So I think we just need a little bit more discussions like this, where we meet and we get a little bit more trust in each other. But I think we still have so good opportunities around us that it makes sense to cooperate. And I believe that digital signature should not stop that. On the other hand, if countries, governments would do some extra steps towards that, of course, that would be a big help and that would simplify the things. But again, I don't think that it is so big criticality in signatures between Lithuania and Poland. I think our main goal is really to reach customers which are outside of our countries as well. So the third countries should be somewhere around and accessing the same infrastructure.
That's right. Maybe I just add one more sentence here that, this digital signature is definitely happening. And in private sector, like that I'm actually representing as well, like all our employees probably by the end of the year will have e-signature ready for B2B, for clients, for everyone. So every single employee or contractor working for us will use electronic signature to simplify, the flow of information, documents, contracts, and whatever is there, yes? So I fully support Thomas here, yes, that we still need to just somehow connect the infrastructure below and make it more smooth between countries maybe here.
Building on the previous panelists about the defense, so the IT and ICT has one topic which is not easy to explain: cybersecurity. Cybersecurity. What's your thinking about potential of cybersecurity cooperation between our countries, and additionally, cyber defense plus propaganda defense? What we could do better going forward? Pavel, maybe you continue.
Another not easy question, but thank you.
Yeah, I wouldn't be myself if I would be asking easy questions.
I think, the more digitized we are, the more focus we should put on cybersecurity. And I think everyone is working on security on different manners and aspects, especially cybersecurity. And it's happening. Like, I don't have the golden rule again, how we should actually implement between the countries, yes, but I think this is crucial, especially now in this digital environment that we are all working, no matter where we are, to make sure that the data and everything is secured, yes. And now we have a lot of solutions already, like dual authentication, like tokens and whatever exists on the market to make sure that this identity is secured, yes. And especially now, even using this e-signatures, you want to make sure that the data is actually your private data, which probably consists of your name, surname, or your ID, or your other like national ID number. It's really secured and no one is actually able to use it unless it's really authorized to receive this information, yes? So So again, like I think it's very similar like before. Like I think the structures in different countries must merge somehow and make sure that the flow of information is supported by EU and those countries, and we can quickly cooperate in those manners. Yes.
Usually Richard has already the solution. He will tell what to read. Richard, what's your opinion?
Yeah, my opinion is somebody says that electric light did not come from continuous improvement of candles. Does it mean sometimes we must change view of building systems? And my proposition is we must stop building applications. We must start building ecosystems, yeah, where we communicate together. And the world give us this technology. It's called blockchain. People just use it. This is called DLT. Yeah, we must start building everything from another point of view, not application for company. Yeah, we must build ecosystem which is more secure, more trust, etc. It's my point of view. We must start thinking in different way, not building just application as 25 years before. Yeah, it's my point of view. Thank you.
Okay. Dmitry?
Great question. And as history shows, European Union worked on that since 2013 or 14, having first framework in place for cybersecurity. And this year even, they had like first sanctions for cybersecurity attacks happening to European Union. So it says generally that we as a countries, all countries, European Union, should collaborate and improve the response capabilities of European Union and provide the safeguard integrity. So having that said, it means that we should do it yesterday or even several years ago as a countries, introducing, like Richard mentioned, existing technologies or working on new standards, whatever it is. It's not a topic to discuss what kind of app or a platform we would use in terms of what kind of risks we want to mitigate together. What is prioritization of these risks, and where we can put low effort to get the high output, and where now already, and where we should put high effort to get high output in several years. Because we are already digital and we are vulnerable, very vulnerable, despite all signatures, EIDs happening, etc. That's a total new market. I really love this saying with a candle and a lamp, because it's not about using old things to secure new things. So that's my point of that.
Thomas?
It's a very complex question. So yeah, in Lithuania, we had a story talking about IT security where we had water falling in one government institution data center. So I mean, sometimes we run to discuss very complex and big and advanced things. What I think it's our duty really working in IT companies is keep educating the market about IT security in general. I think that's the most critical and the most missing component. And it's very good that we have this discussion here again. So because I think that's the most critical. We do a lot of testing services, for example, and there are a lot of testing services around security. But I need to admit that I would say 2 out of 10 customers in public sector would ask that service. And it would be even less if we talk about public sector customers. They would say they don't have money, they don't have time, and that maybe will be covered by some other institution within public sector. So everybody expects somebody else to do their job. So we need to keep pushing the message, and we need to keep discussing the importance of IT security. I think cyber security or cyber defense is so advanced topic that it would be a pleasure to discuss that one, but I think there are still a lot of blocks we need to do right before really moving to cyber defense, which is more proactive approach to the security.
And thank you, Thomas. And my last question, nicely going to the next panelist. So startups, it's a nice buzzword and a nice area in IT. So what our countries could achieve more working together? But be very frank, very shortly. Don't talk too much because the next panel is about that. Dimitri, what's your opinion?
Our countries are working pretty well already. We can see that this year, both Poland and Lithuania was the maximum investments happening into startups. Moreover, we're supporting startups like Informatica or GoRamp going cross markets with cross investments happening by different VCs, which are Baltic and Polish ones. So I am pretty happy of what is actually going on. And again, that's that's a private sector, and what is good that this private sector in both countries has support from government also, like in Startup-wise or guys or Innova Capital or other companies, they have these programs, and it's happening. So maybe
Thanks.
others can add something interesting. Yeah.
Okay, Pavel.
So maybe just add on top of that, I think maybe additional area that is now still picking up and maybe we could consider to address this more stronger would be environmental and sustainability areas of startups, yes? So now startups are mainly about, of course, great technology, AR, big data, you know, and machine learning, yes? But I think now world really needs some kind of really cool solutions that will actually help our planet, yes? And even now we see that with this new elected president in US, he's pushing a lot of effort to climate, yes? And I think this is something that could actually be maybe winning case for us as well as a joint cooperation here.
Okay, thank you. Thomas?
Yeah, we need more software developers, whatever is it, startup or grown-up companies. We just need all cooperate. I think startup community is very brave and it's good to have it around, but yeah, they don't solve all the problems around, but it's a big opportunity around.
And final note from Richard.
I think it's good idea in Lithuania. It's called GovTech. Maybe you, Mindaugas, can explain more, but it's good idea that government institution from time to time to do something new can buy ideas or prototypes from startups. Yeah, not only give money, but just give opportunity to solve problems. I think this is a good idea.
So with that encouragement for the governments to go to the startup community, I hand over our panel back to Diana.
Thank you, Mr. Ubartas. Thank you, all the panelists, and thank you very much for the encouragement for the government, and also thank you very much for the smooth transition to our last panel about startups. And before turning to our last panel today, I'd like to draw you all attention to additional opportunity to book your B2B meetings on the same platform we are now. B2B part will start straight after this panel at 2:05 p.m. and will last till 5 p.m. Lithuanian time. We have already 75 meetings requests scheduled, and to book your meeting, you can go to people site, select company representative you want to meet online, and suggest a meeting. Also, don't forget to check your email to confirm the request what you received already. So the last panel discussion today will be, as it was said already, about startups. Lithuania and Poland each can boast about the thriving startup ecosystems. The number of startups grew steadily during last few years, and now more than 1,200 startups are operating in each country. Isn't that a good point for starting a cooperation? I forward this question to the moderator of this panel discussion, my dear colleague, Ms. Roberta Rudokienė, the head of Startup Lithuania. Roberta, floor is yours, please.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
We can hear you, Roberta.
You can hear me. Okay. Hello, so thank you, Diana, for introducing our discussion. And before starting the discussion about startups and venture capital, I would like to introduce the panelists. So today here we have Mrs. Barbara Nowakovska, Managing Director at Polish Private Equity and Venture Capital Association. Hello, Barbara. We also have Mr. Leszek Orlowski, Director at Venture Capital Fund B-Value. Also, Rokas Pichulaitis, Chairman of the Board at Lithuanian Private Equity and Venture Capital Association. And and Mr. Liudas Kanapienis, CEO at Ondato, a Lithuanian startup that is developing remote KYC and compliance solutions.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, hello everyone, nice to have you here. And let's talk about possible collaboration between our countries and between our ecosystems. As mentioned before, both countries have a strong, thriving startup ecosystems and amounts of capital to invest into startups. But at the moment, I think we are not collaborating much and using all the possibilities. And so the aim of this discussion would be to find the ways to boost collaboration in order to benefit from it. Lithuanian startup ecosystem is really thriving. We have more than 1,000 startups and a unicorn. I have to remind that the country is more than 10 times smaller than the Poland. We have just 2.8 million population. And we see really big potential in fintech, gaming, cybersecurity sectors, also edutech and life science. Rokas, could you tell us shortly a little bit more about venture capital scene, what we have in Lithuania at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely, my pleasure. Thanks for inviting and thanks, Roberta, for a warm introduction. So yeah, I'm a chairman of Venture Capital Association, which association has been established in 2009. I also have another hat where I run a venture capital firm as well. So with regards to more the ecosystem, I think a couple of things are worth noting. We have over 10 funds in the association, venture capital and private equity funds, including buyouts, as well as minority funds and debt funds. We also have one limited partner, which is Bank, which is one of the largest banking conglomerates from Sweden that also invests as a fund of fund. That's actually done the first investment as a fund of fund in one of venture capital funds called Practic Capital. And then we also have associate members, which is a bunch of service providers, and also joining the whole ecosystem. I think, interestingly, it's been a very busy year this year, even with COVID. I think that was been the topic of most of the discussions, but I'm very, very excited to have this discussion as part of a broader, one of our key, I guess, objectives as new board and we just elected a new CEO is actually to have better communication and as well as better partnerships with our neighboring countries. I think we have well established that with the Baltic countries. We're very much aligned and we're working a lot of projects jointly with the Baltic VCAs. But obviously Poland, we are aware of the country, obviously have a way more funds than we do in the ecosystem jointly as the Baltics, but definitely the collaboration is necessary. And I think about the ecosystem shortly, there's over €1 billion managed by all the funds as part of the association. There has been a 149 million investment since the beginning of the the last year alone. These private equity firms and VC firms employ more than 6,500 people. There's 96 investments and also I think we're very have ambitious goal, I guess. So 1 billion is a total AUM, so assets under managed by the funds, but we're trying to, the dry powder is roughly, we're still doing the calculations around 7 to 750 million. We're trying to aim as an association to obviously increase ourselves as a present and reach the 1 billion threshold, which for some countries sounds like a small, I guess, amount of money, but I think for a small ecosystem as Lithuania, it's quite a significant amount to have that 1 billion of powder by 2022. So this is kind of our ambition and overview. And I think Roberta mentioned a few, so we obviously have quite a few success stories, not only on the venture venture side of startups, but also on the buyout side. So there's been a lot of significant exits that happened over the last couple of years. And we see more and more interest from foreign investors entering and co-investing with the local funds, as well as really acquiring these companies, especially at the later stage of growth, or when companies require liquidity events before even they go public. So I think one thing worth mentioning, the participants and people who joined today, is that I think there is a push to make NASDAQ, our stock exchange, more active. Recently, Ignitis Group, which is one of the largest energy companies, by far the largest company in the Baltics, has just IPO, which puts a very nice touch to this development. And we believe more and more so the alternative Baltic market, alternative NASDAQ, which can list more younger companies, will also be a route for a lot of the funds potentially as an excellent opportunity. So I think for me, that's a short overview. I'm happy to discuss with all you and compare notes from Polish to Lithuanian, and also heard about from entrepreneurs' perspective how that collaboration could be fostered.
Thank you, Rokas. Barbara, could you tell us a little bit more about Polish venture capital scene? How many funds and investments ready to invest into startups do you have? One moment, we cannot hear you.
I think, Barbara, you're on mute.
Yes. Hello, everybody. I was trying to say hello when you were introducing us, and obviously I was on mute, which happens over and over again. Sorry for that. Well, I'm very happy to be speaking right after my colleague from the Lithuanian Association. We haven't, unfortunately, met in person, which is due to COVID, and this is really unfortunate, because normally we know one another in person at the European level. We network a lot. There are meetings of the European or at the premises of the European Private Equity and Venture Capital Association, so that we are very well connected. Now, COVID obviously sort of broke that personal connection, but I hope our cooperation will not suffer from that. Anyway, the Polish association is larger than the Lithuanian by nature. We're just a larger country, but in terms of activity, we are trying to do the same. So we have 45 full members, of which the majority are private equity funds. Some of them are global in terms of scope, like, for instance, CVC. Some of them are regional, like Mid-Europa, Enterprise Investors, or Innova, Abris. And some of them invest only in Poland. We also have a group of 20 plus venture capital funds. And here the venture capital scene is very rapid, or has been very rapidly growing in the recent years. And that's primarily thanks to government programs to support both startup development and venture capital funding. We have one major government institution, the Polish Development Fund, with its arm Polish Development Funds PFR Venture, which is an organization fully dedicated to investing into venture funds. It's a fund of funds funded with both Poland's budget money and EU money, structural funds money. This is a breakthrough, I believe, in terms of Poland's development of the investor stage, because we, as a country, suffer from the lack of domestic investors into private equity and venture capital, contrary to West European countries whose industries support a lot, rely a lot on their domestic investor base, particularly in venture. So the appearance of the National Fund of Funds really sort of gave a spark to the development of the industry. So that's in terms of the introduction.
Great, thank you. I believe that 20 plus venture capital funds and a market of 38 million population could be really interesting for Lithuanian startups. And Ondato is one of those startups who are really working and trying to conquer the Polish market. And Liudas, could you please tell us a little bit about your experience? How is it going? And have you tried to raise local money in Poland?
Hi everyone, once again. Yeah, thanks for a kind intro. And actually, we're shifting smoothly to the discussion because we were also participating in the Poland Prize program, and that's how we were establishing our entity in Poland. That was one of the really good mechanisms actually on attracting foreign companies in establishment. And just, you see, we have like those two major differences, I would say, from at least from the startup environment and from the startup perspective, but we have those two main differences in our markets, is the size of the market. And that's where you're absolutely right, because in Poland, startups, they, not in all the cases, but they sometimes they get into so-called big enough market trap. And then the companies actually stay in Poland and working in the Polish market only, and that's why for the VCs is quite an interesting actually to look in other markets like Lithuanian in example. And at least from our experience, what I see is that I would say like last 1 or 1.5 years. The Polish VCs are really active here in the region, and they're actively, looking what is happening here. They're participating in all the events and all this stuff. Although, at least I didn't see any real actions happening, like or investments happening into here. Maybe someone from B Value will tell about that more, but. At least from my perspective, I see that they're like more observing what is happening here. I'm pretty sure that, of course, since there are really good and big funds and strong enough with a good track record, we'll see some investments into the region for sure. So because these are closed markets. Anyway, our historical roots and everything, mentality-wise and everything. So I'm pretty sure that we will see synergies here. But at least from current experience, I see that they're more observing the market and kind of understanding what is happening. I'm pretty sure that the strongest ones will take the best startups anyway on board basically and help them.
Thank you, Liudas. I was going to direct the second, latest question to Leszek, also to hear from his perspective as venture capital, as investor. Do you look into Lithuanian startup ecosystem, and do our startups interest you?
Yes, okay, so Roberta, so thank you for inviting me for this conversation. Yes, and so maybe just a few words about B-Value. So B-Value is a Polish-based VC, and we are also using this Polish government money from PFR program. And we are based in Poland, and there is, as we said, Polish market is bigger than Lithuanian. So our main focus is on Polish market. There are quite a lot of startups, and we are looking here as the main ground of our operations. But B-Value and some other, say, more creative or more aggressive in investing funds are looking also for CE region in general. So and as it is also at Lithuania. We see a lot of potential in Lithuania and also in entire Baltics region. We see that there is a lot of investment, VC investment activity in Estonia, like also in Lithuania, and we see that there are a lot of good startups, good and maybe as Duda said, there is for Polish startups there may be a trap of big enough market, and Lithuania or Estonia, your markets are smaller, so you need to think globally or at least pan-Euro at European level. So we see, and so we are interested in Lithuanian market. I also tried to go deeper into analysis of your market. So, and you provide some infrastructure like Startup Lithuania with a database of startups, which are very useful, and we are looking for good companies, because for B-Value or for other VC funds from Poland or from CE, I think the most important thing is to find good startups that we can give money and they will earn for them and for us this money. So we see a lot of potential in Lithuania, and we want to say dig deeper in order to find the best teams to support them. And of course, Polish market is bigger, but we don't look at Polish, at least in B-Value, we don't look at Polish market as a final stage for startups. It is just, I think, the middle of the way. So Polish market may be, you can conquer, Lithuanian startup can conquer Polish market, but in way to be global or European company. So yes.
So a stop in between, not the last stop for startups,
yes,
could be Polish
sure.
market. And
Sure.
Maybe you have some tips for Lithuanian startups, how to enter the market, how to approach investors in Poland, and what you could offer for our startups.
Okay, sure. As I said, we Polish funds or Polish or whatever funds, we are looking for good startups. For sure, whatever way, if someone is a good startup, whatever way to contact is good. I recently used, let's say, direct contact through LinkedIn. It may be, introduction made by someone, like by Startup Lithuania or by some other local fund in Lithuania, and for sure, B-Value will be interested to talk, to see what the startup is doing and whether it is investment opportunity. Maybe because it's all about the business. From our side, it's all about the business. So it is important, to sorry, I lost my thought. Sorry. So what we can offer here in Poland? So for sure, we are focusing on business, so we can help in operations of companies, in strategy. In Polish market is a larger market, so we have also a larger talent pool in Poland. So Lithuanian startups can hire more IT developers or people experienced in e-commerce. So there is a bigger pool to use this asset. And this is what we can offer. We can offer, for B2B. So it also depends on what kind of business you are running. So we see two main differences. So one type of business is for SMB business, and because we focus mainly on online businesses or based on online. So when you are doing online SMB business, you can do it low touch sales. So it's very there don't need to be so much direct contact with your customer, with your client, and these businesses may be operated from Lithuania or whatever place. Yes, but when we are doing about enterprise business, so selling to bigger companies, usually sales process involves meetings and so on and so on. So you need to have someone local, so like KYC process. Usually, when you want to contact Polish companies, we could, as a B-Value, offer some intros or connect with right people in Poland to start business. We can also connect you with experts, so the Lithuanian companies can establish right processes. And because it's not about that Polish, that we as a B-Value, we do intro to some potential clients, because at the end, the founders of the company are responsible for making a business. And they also want to mention that that founders must be, that we believe that founders of the company must be where the business is. So even, for example, company is from Lithuania and there is a developers team of that makes a software, but we believe that founders or CEO or sales people, when they're selling to to the clients, they should be where the clients are. So we see this investment this way, so that the company may be headquartered in Lithuania, but founders should come here or should be in direct contact with us, so we can bring value, let's say, in supporting, in strategy, in HR processes, and also help them establish processes to get clients. Yes, so because it's important to build a machine that can make business, and that it cannot be manual work that the fund or someone does. So we look at this way.
Okay, thanks a lot. As our discussion is running quickly to the end, one last question to all of you. Maybe we have some suggestions, ideas, what could we do, all of us together, to foster collaboration and benefit from being neighboring startup ecosystems? Rokas, maybe you would like to start.
Yeah, probably. I wanted to also maybe make a comment to the question that you previously asked. I think we actually going to have one co-investment with one of the Polish funds, which we're just closing now. But I think this sort of, I think the way, and I think this is to Barbara, and she knows way better than I do. I think the way all this fund structure in Poland, which I think is important to mention, which was not mentioned, is that it's actually a prerequisite to open a Polish company, which I think for a lot of our companies has been actually a big burden. As you said, Polish is not the end market. It's a pass-through market. Sometimes it's more important, sometimes less important, depending on the, I guess the technology being built or the client base that is being addressed. But I think that's been a burden. We have obviously declined from the company side to not co-invest in certain investments in Poland for that reason, primarily because the company was necessary to be open. And I think that is a big burden. I don't know whether that's addressed. Maybe it's a structural thing that you implemented to foster more company creation in Poland, but I think there's definitely one thing that I would mention. And for the partnership, I think, again, Barbara, nice to meet you. Definitely would like to meet face-to-face when that's possible, but definitely more some sort of virtual gives a vast opportunities to spend time more efficiently without traveling, even though we're neighbors. I think, these type of discussions among maybe fund managers specifically would be very interesting for us as well. We know quite a few, we know probably 3 investors that we actively speak in Poland, which I guess are in line with our, I guess, culture, strategy as a fund and other things. But I think definitely I know that you have a lot of funds established, which some of them you attracted foreign also funds that established. One of them actually is my venture partner, ICOS Capital, who launched in Poland as well, a thematic fund in agriculture. But this is definitely an interesting topic to discuss. And I think from Venture Capital Association, especially from our side, there was going to be a lot of more, I guess, pushy messages and more collaboration push with, again, Poland specifically, I guess, not exclusive to Poland, but obviously to all the countries. And that is one big priority as part of our more like big goals that we want to achieve over the next couple of years. So definitely eager to speak with funds, eager to speak with managers, and the other part that I would like to touch also briefly, because I know we're running out of time, is also LPs, right? So while we do only have 3 banks pretty much, you know, the pension funds in Poland are vast, and I think there's way more family offices there as well. And you mentioned fund of funds. So I think that's very important for Lithuanian ecosystem as well, for an investor community. And I believe that that'd be also very interesting exchange of ideas in that tone.
Great, thanks, Barbara. Maybe you have something to add to this?
Well, I think that there is a lot, great room for cooperation at later stages of investment, because very early seed stage needs to be done at home, and usually the investors are very small and sort of local. But when it comes to sort of Series A, well, vintage shows that there are no borders. Startups look for investors elsewhere. And I think they need to be looking for investors that have value added from their point of view. So if investors in Poland that have experience in a certain area of investment and have proven successful investment and good cooperation with the founders, these are the targets for startups in Lithuania, and vice versa. Polish venture capital funds will be looking in Poland and around Poland to find interesting opportunities, either as original investments or for their buy and build strategies. So there is a lot of room for cooperation. Well, as far as the domestic content of investment is concerned, this is related to legal requirements of EU structural funds, but this is defined as a local content or Poland's content. It doesn't have to be a company established in Poland. There is some flexibility in this definition, but yes, there must be a local content, and it goes beyond the sort of Polish government's requirements. These are EU requirements. Structural funds invested in or flowing to Lithuania also have the local content requirement. And I also wanted to mention the cooperation with the help of European Bank of Reconstruction and Development, who is very active in the Baltic states, supporting various venture capital and private equity initiatives. They are very supportive here in Poland as well. Also in cooperation with our government. So here we have a partner that could also support cooperation. And I miss your Baltic conference very much, because it was a great sort of networking event where also Polish funds could come. Perhaps we should think of something in virtual space going forward.
We're promising you a double the size next year, and it's going to be hosted in Vilnius. So definitely that's going to happen. And there's actually going to be a virtual one in January. So we're happy to share information about that. It's going to be 2 days as well, more driven by EBRD, as you mentioned. And I think one maybe a comment, I wasn't probably saying that it's a bad thing to open a subsidiary. I think it's a big market, and definitely companies sometimes want to hire local people for sales. But I think there needs to be more clarity from companies' perspective, what actually needs to be done, and sort of the roadmap with like a lack of supporting organization like we have Invest Lithuania, so the equivalent in Poland, maybe some sort of a handbook specifically for Baltic companies. I think that would be very handy for them.
Thanks a lot. Thank you all the participants. As we all agreed, the time is running out. Actually, discussion is at its end. As we all agreed that it's really important to collaborate, to cooperate, I hope we will move this discussion further by emails and calls, and probably will be there will be possibilities to meet in real life next year. So we'll keep in touch with you all. Thanks for your time and your thoughts. And thank you. I am giving the word back to Diana.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roberta. Thank you, all the participants. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of Polish-Lithuanian Business Forum panel discussion part. And I hope that we all got a lot of encouraging messages to explore a potential of other businesses. So now we will move to the B2B meetings part. And on behalf of the organizers, I would like to extend our thank you to all the participants, as well to all the partners of this extraordinary event. For our partners, Palace of the President of the Republic of Lithuania, Polish and Lithuanian Chamber of Commerce, Lithuanian Confederation of Industrialists, Polish Confederation Lewiatan, and to all other contributors. Please stay well and healthy. Goodbye.